Most men believe relationships end because feelings disappear. Love fades, attraction dies, interest runs out. But that belief is wrong. In reality, feelings almost never disappear first. Respect does, and once respect is gone, feelings don't matter anymore. They can linger, echo, even haunt her, but they no longer protect the relationship. This is why so many men are blindsided by breakups. She still cares, she still feels something, yet she leaves anyway, because respect is the foundation, not emotion. And when that foundation cracks, everything above it eventually collapses. Respect is quiet. It doesn't announce itself. You don't feel it when it's there, but you feel its absence immediately. Respect is what makes a woman trust your decisions, value your presence, and believe that being with you improves her life rather than complicates it. Love can survive uncertainty. Attraction can survive flaws, but respect cannot survive weakness, inconsistency, or self-betrayal. And this is where most men lose without realizing the game has already changed. A woman can be emotionally attached to a man she no longer respects. That's the uncomfortable truth. She can miss him, crave him, feel pulled toward him, and still look down on him at the same time. And when that happens, the relationship enters a slow, silent death. She becomes colder, more distant, less responsive. She stops explaining herself. She stops trying to fix things. Not because she doesn't care, but because she no longer believes he's capable of leading the dynamic anywhere better. Respect begins to erode. The moment a man stops standing firmly in himself, when he starts negotiating his boundaries for approval, when he explains instead of acting, when he overinvests to compensate for insecurity, when his words no longer match his behavior. Women don't lose respect because a man is imperfect. They lose respect when he becomes predictable, reactive, and emotionally dependent on outcomes he can't control. One of the fastest ways a man loses respect is by abandoning his frame. His frame is how he sees the world, how he makes decisions, how he holds his ground under pressure. When a man has a frame, he doesn't need to dominate or control. His presence alone communicates stability. But when he starts bending that frame to keep her happy, when her moods dictate his behavior, when he sacrifices his values to avoid conflict, something shifts in her nervous system. She may enjoy the comfort at first, but deep down, she starts to feel unsafe. Not physically unsafe, psychologically unsafe. Because if he can't stand firm under emotional pressure, how will he stand firm when life actually tests him? Another silent respect killer is emotional leakage. This happens when a man makes a woman the center of his emotional regulation. His mood rises when she's warm and collapses when she's distant. He seeks reassurance instead of he reacts instead of responding. Women are deeply intuitive to this. They feel when they're being leaned on emotionally rather than met as equals. And once she feels responsible for your emotional stability, desire flips into obligation. Attraction turns into pressure. Respect begins to drain away. Women don't respect men who need them to feel okay. They respect men who choose them while remaining whole without them. That doesn't mean coldness or detachment. It means emotional self-sufficiency. The ability to feel deeply without becoming dependent. To care without clinging. To desire without chasing. The moment a woman senses that losing her would collapse you, part of her stops respecting you. Even if she feels guilty about it. Even if she wishes it weren't true. Consistency is another misunderstood pillar of respect. Not consistency in attention, but consistency in identity. When a man shifts who he is based on what he thinks will keep her interested, respect erodes. If you're confident one day and insecure the next, assertive one moment and apologetic the next, strong when things are good and fragile when things are uncertain, she starts to feel like she's dealing with multiple versions of you. And instability, even emotional instability, destroys respect faster than mistakes ever could. Women respect men who are predictable in their values, not their behavior. She should know what you stand for, not always what you'll say. When a man becomes overly accommodating, when he removes all friction to avoid discomfort, he doesn't become safer, he becomes smaller. And smaller men don't inspire respect. They inspire control, indifference, or eventual dismissal. One of the most painful moments in a relationship is when a man senses something has changed but can't name it. She's still there, but she's not present. She listens, but she doesn't engage. She responds, but without warmth. This is usually the moment respect has already left. And at this stage, trying harder makes everything worse. More effort feels like desperation. More explanations feel like weakness. More emotional displays feel like pressure. The respect is already gone. And now every move is being interpreted through that lens. This is why logic doesn't save. relationships once respect is broken. You can communicate perfectly. You can apologize sincerely. You can promise change. But respect isn't restored through words. It's restored through embodiment, through changed behavior over time, and sometimes, by the time a man realizes this, the relationship has already reached a point of no return. Women often leave men they still have feelings for because staying feels like betraying themselves. Respect isn't just about how she sees you, it's about how she feels around you. When being with you starts to make her feel less feminine, less inspired, less safe in the future, her body begins to reject the connection, even if her heart hasn't caught up yet. The harsh truth is that love cannot compensate for a lack of respect. In fact, love without respect becomes painful. It turns into resentment, disappointment, and quiet contempt. She may not insult you, she may not fight, but she stops admiring you. And admiration is the oxygen of attraction. Respect is built when a man chooses himself even when it risks losing her. When he doesn't threaten, manipulate, or withdraw emotionally, but calmly holds his ground. When he doesn't chase validation, but remains open without being needy. When he listens without shrinking. When he leads his own life instead of orbiting hers. These things don't guarantee a relationship will last, but without them, no relationship ever truly can. If you want to understand why women lose respect before they lose feelings, look at moments where you abandoned yourself to keep the connection. Every time you did something that didn't align with your values just to avoid tension. Every time you stayed silent when you should have spoken. Every time you gave more when it wasn't reciprocated. Respect doesn't disappear all at once. It leaks out in those moments. The goal isn't to become hard or emotionally distant. It's to become solid, grounded, internally anchored. A man who doesn't need to perform strength because he lives it. A man who doesn't fear loss so deeply that he compromises his identity. When you become that man, respect becomes natural. And when respect is present, feelings don't disappear easily. The paradox is this. The men women respect most are not the men who try hardest to be respected. They are the men who live in alignment with themselves, regardless of outcome. And that alignment is what makes respect inevitable. If you've ever been left by someone who said, "I still care about you, but something is missing," now you know what that something was. It wasn't love, it was respect. And once you understand that, you stop trying to save relationships with effort and start building yourself with integrity. And that changes everything.